Alright, now today we need to talk about hip leaning and what to expect when it comes to console, because the time is coming fairly soon. It's either this season coming up or the season after, because it's coming this year. So let me explain this all to you, and I also want to talk about all the benefits that you can do with hip leaning and how cool it's going to be. I also need to talk about what I think the buttons are going to be that we're going to be using on controller, because right now I'm on PC, because you cannot really hip lean on console yet, or on a controller on PC, so I just want to show it like this. But if you do enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, be sure to comment, and be sure to subscribe. We're on the grind to 60K. But I love you. Let's get into this. In case you guys don't know, the reason on why I'm saying or how I'm saying hip lean is coming to console is because at Invitational, one of the devs was talking about the new button remapping that is going to be coming out, where you can make any button anything. You see how on PC you have these options? This will all be on console. You'll be able to change the controller buttons to anything that you want. They were talking about hip leaning. I'll play the clip. Here it is.
So how is it going to get more comfortable there? You talked about the layout, but something else is coming.
Well, ultimately, when we're talking about remapping these controls, it's to give our players the same control that their PC counterparts have as far as that goes. For example, if you play on console, you can't lean without ADSing. Well, you can potentially do that with the way you set up your controls and with those presets. Additionally, if you're ever in a really heated moment and you go to ADS and then you go to lean to the right, sometimes you pop that melee out instead and then you just win that, lose that fight. So ultimately, removing that frustration, giving you the control to customize the game so you can be as competitive as you want it.
So now first I'm going to go over everything that the benefits of hip leaning and what it's going to be like on console. And then at the end, I really want to talk about the button mapping, because that's a rabbit hole that I'm going to get into in a minute. Now, don't mind me looking like an absolute bot. I have to play on mouse and keyboard to show you this, and I am actually horrendous trying to use my fingers to use a mouse and keyboard. But basically, one of the biggest things with hip leaning, the biggest thing with hip leaning that's going to change console drastically, is going to be with shotguns, okay? Now, I made a TikTok on this, but I want to show you guys on YouTube, right? Let's say, for example, on console, when you want to swing somebody, let's say they're over here, the options we have right now are swing at someone like this and shoot, swing at someone like this and shoot, or aim down sights and swing someone and shoot, right? Now, I want to put into perspective for you. With hip leaning, right? As you can see, right now, I cannot see that door. If I hip lean, I can see that door. So what does this mean? This means the perspective is off on my end, because the attacker will be able to see me right now, and I can't see him if I wanted to get ready to swing him. However, if I was hip leaned, I'd realize, okay, let me pull back a little bit, so that way we're on an even playing ground. And on top of that, if I go to swing someone, I'm seeing them way before if I was just going like this. See the difference with here, this is I'm seeing them beforehand, and I feel like it's just easier to just shotgun somebody and use shotguns in general hip leaning. So I think the shotgun meta on console will be fucking insane once hip leaning comes out. The confidence that I'm going to get swinging somebody with a shotgun. And it's not just shotguns. I think shotguns are 100% the biggest thing when it comes to what hip leaning is going to bring to console. But not even that, just the peaking in general is going to be so much better with console. Because think about it, right? On console, you have the just, regular ADS lean. But on PC, you have, I'm horrible. I'm not even going to try and strafe peek on a mouse and keyboard. But on console with hip lean, you'd be able to quick peek essentially with the controller just by being able to hip lean. Now this is a absolutely horrendous example because of how bad I am on mouse and keyboard. But you know what I mean. There'll be 4 types of ways you can peek instead of just the 2 that we have on console. So I think hip leaning is going to drastically improve the peeking, as well as just the flow of the game. My ability to swing somebody while I'm on ADS, while I'm hip leaned. This makes it to where my visibility is much larger because I'm not ADS and my scope is not taking up a large portion of the screen. Now, yes, obviously you're going to want to be able to be aim down sights a lot of the time. But I just mean when you are walking around, right? If I want to peek a corner, I won't automatically be ADS. Like for example, if I wanted to peek this corner, I could hip lean peek it like this, right? Now say I'm leaning, right? And I peek it like this. My scope will be blocking this door, right? So I may not see somebody that is right there. Versus if I'm hip leaned, I can see way more. The visibility is a lot better. Now overall, I just want hip lean so bad. It's been 8 years now, and we do not have it on console. And I'm just very excited for it. But the biggest thing, now let me pick up my controller so I can show you this. Now the biggest thing is this, okay? So I have been staring at this controller layout for at least 15 minutes. Just really trying to imagine what we could possibly be changing. Because as you can see, these are all buttons that are being used. Just about every button is used. Now, a lot of people in my TikTok comments were saying, oh, well, I have paddles, so I can just link the paddles to hip leaning. here's the thing, okay? So I don't know if you guys know how paddles work, but basically the paddles on the back of my controller, like these ones right here, right, that I use to be able to lean and stuff like that, these go off of buttons. They're not just a new button, they're an existing button that is being put to the back of these paddles. So even if you were to put the hip lean on the paddle, you would still have to pick one of these buttons that you want assigned to hip lean, because you need to assign that button that you are using on hip lean to the paddle. Like, for example, I lean with these paddles. So these buttons are really just the analog sticks pushed in, so that I can do both. Like, for example, I'm on controller now. I could just lean normally with my analog sticks, but I also have the option to lean with paddles like this. So you won't be able to just assign it to a paddle, and not everyone has an Elite controller or a paddle or anything like that. I don't think you're going to need to have one. Do I think it will be a lot better hip leaning with paddles? Abso-fucking-lutely. But you don't need it, okay? Now, I want to tell you guys what I've been cooking up. I gotta move out of this damn site, because if I have to hear these stupid bombs ticking in my ear, I'm actually gonna go insane. Hold on. The way that I've seen it, after vigorously staring at this, is two things. I'm gonna give you guys my paddled version first, and then I'm gonna give you what you may do if you don't have a paddle, and then I want to talk about what else is a possibility. So after staring at this for a while, I've come to the conclusion that if you look at the D-pad, some of the D-pad is not used, right? As we can see, pushing on the left and the right D-pad does nothing, meaning there's two options for that. However, the one on the far right is a way to deploy a drone, and the one on the far left is a way to switch in between gadgets, but that's only if you have, like, your Zofia out, for example. So I feel like that doesn't really count. Like, you could, like, it'll probably overlap it, like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously when you're on the main menu and you're selecting a character, that's not changing how you change a device of a Zofia gadget, because you don't have the Zofia gadget out. So I think certain controls, we would do two things at once, if that makes any sense. So the way I see it right now is left and right are going to be, on the D-pad, are free buttons to use. For the most part, they're free buttons to use. So, this is the way I see it. I am going to assign the hip lean to both my analog sticks, which will then be on my paddles in the back, but I'm going to assign it to my analog sticks, okay? Meaning, I would lose my sprint, and I would lose my knife, but not really. What I would do was I would move my sprint and my knife to these D-pads, right? Left and right D-pad. And then I would take that D-pad, right? And I would then move the sprinting to this back paddle right here. I'd probably keep the crouch paddle, and I just keep a knife on my D-pad because I'm not knifing someone a lot. So I could knife with my D-pad just fine, you know what I mean? And that's the way I see it. So, quick rundown. Analog sticks pushed in to hip lean. D-pads left and right to knife and sprint. But in reality, the sprint will be on the back of my paddles. Same with the hip lean. Listen, there's other options that can happen, right? So we don't have enough information to go off of, right? So Ubisoft can come out and be like, hey, we have a new mechanic where if you double tap a certain button, then you'll be able to hip lean. Or if you double tap a certain button, then that will do a specific gadget. So if I wanted to, for example, see the scoreboard, right? And I wanted to get rid of this scoreboard button, I could make it to where one tap is to hip lean and two taps is to open it up. So I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing. Like, they could come out with something like that, towards a different mechanic where you double tap it, or something along those lines, or maybe hold it down for a little bit, you know what I mean, versus tapping it. I don't know yet. We have to see what they reveal it as, but as it is right now, that would be my method. And you can technically still do this. If you wanted to, you can move your hip lean to both your analog sticks and your knife and your sprint to your D-pad, left and right. But why in good God's name would I want to sprint my damn D-pad? I mean, I could, surely, but I'm not going to. Now, the question may arise. How are you going to throw a drone with your D-pad option being taken up? I got the answer for you, okay? Because as we know, the right on the D-pad deploys the drone. And obviously, I'm going to use my drone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the scoreboard, because if you don't know, you can unassign buttons, okay? I'm going to get rid of the scoreboard. Now, doing that, I'm going to put my drone on that scoreboard button, okay? Listen. And then, I'm just not going to look at my scoreboard, which in reality would be better. Why do I need to see my scoreboard? Like, realistically speaking. At the top left and right, I can see who's alive. So the only reason that I would need to see a scoreboard is to, one, check how horrific my teammates are and how bad they're doing, or two, see how bad I'm doing or how good I'm doing. So in reality, if you get rid of the scoreboard, mentally it'll make you better because you're never focused on how you're doing. You're simply focused on the round. Listen, I'm a genius, guys. I'm literally a genius. Not only am I adding hip lean, but I'm solving the mental issues of getting in your own head by completely de-signing the damn scoreboard. Now, there could be a completely separate option they could be coming out with, and hopefully they are. Like, I really hope you don't have to be this fucking complex to be able to hip lean. But they said you'll be able to hip lean. They said you'll be able to redesign your controller however you'd like it. So I feel like, in reality, my honest opinion, I think they're going to come out with something where you're going to be able to push in on something or double tap something to make it a different button or make it do something different. That's what I am thinking. Or almost like, for example, how if I knife with my analog stick versus if I'm aim down sights with my analog stick, they do two different things. So maybe there'll be something that you can do with hip lean. That is what I am assuming, okay? I don't know if you guys have looked at the controller layout. For the people who do not have paddles, I wish you luck, but it should be interesting. I don't know if you guys have looked at this and what you've tried to cook up on how you're going to, you know, change around the stuff. Because listen, if you want to get rid of pinging and you want to get rid of the scoreboard, you could move your, you know, sprint and stuff like that. You can move a lot of stuff around. Like if you just want to simply get rid of something like the ping, like the switchability mode or the drop diffuser, which I would not recommend dropping the diffuser. Like, do not get rid of that, because if you get the diffuser around, you need to drop it to your teammate, you're cooked. So, but you can get rid of the pinging if you want. You can get rid of the scoreboard if you want. You can get rid of the options and info if you don't want to press the start button, but I would not recommend that if you want to leave a game or something like that. So, I would say look around, see what you could change that you would be most comfortable on. Once again, I truly think they're going to have something new and engineered so it won't be this fucking complex. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys going to use the hip lean? Are you guys excited for the hip lean? I'm personally very excited. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. I will see y'all. Have an amazing day. Much love. Mwah.